Let's get straight into it. So we can talk about your background and stuff like that in a moment, but the main thing is the playlist.
Yeah, man.
Which is like your new body of work.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to a couple tracks. We're going to play some tracks on this as well so people can hear it.
Yeah.
I think it's a dope project. I'm not even just saying that because you're here.
No, I appreciate it.
I feel like it's, tell the truth, Keith, when we're listening to it in the car as well, Gigs comes in on fire. Intro Gigs, you're like, yeah, come on.
And it kind of reminded us, that's what we're saying in the car, it kind of reminded us of, you know, kind of the old school tapes where you'd have gigs and you have Big Ride and you have, you know what I mean, that feel. So it felt very old school and organic.
Yeah, I mean, that's the element I was trying to catch, because I haven't worked with gigs properly since I started in the rap game, and that was one of my goals. So when we went in the studio, I was like, yo, this is something I think we need to kind of bring that element into it. The Michael Million days.
That's what I'm saying, them Big Ride Michael Million days, because then, man, it adds like panache to the track, because you what you're thinking, he says it, or if you're not thinking it, you start thinking it, if that makes sense.
I was going to say, so, you know what I mean, the project is 27 tracks, essentially, you know what I mean, that is a massive project, so, you know what I mean, give us a run through of, you know, kind of where you were mentally when you're like, you know what, I'm going to do a big, massive, you know, album with that many songs, because that's Chris Brown level, he's sort of one of the only other people, you know what I mean, that drops a project with that many songs.
It'd be a young boy in that.
Yeah, to be fair, I dropped Bad, my single, my debut single, and then I dropped To Your Love Him, and in between that I was dropping productions for so many artists, and then I dropped Fashion Week and it went top 10, and I was like, how longer can I continue dropping singles? I need to drop a body of work. Studying American producers, seeing themselves transition into producer artists. I was like, I kind of opened the gate here to be one of the first people to do that, but to secure the legacy I need to drop a body of work. And everyone was hitting me up around Fashion Week time, telling me you should drop an album, rare. And artists wanted to get in with me left, right and centre, so I just done swaps mainly on the album and just started working on it. So like when you guys mentioned gigs to kick it off, it's like literally saying that that's where I come from road rap. And then you transition throughout the album to a whole different journey, do you know what I'm saying, of my production, really.
I think the album's a testament to you as well, to show the links in the industry you have and who you've worked with and how people respect what you've done, because the mixtape's not light, bro. Like, I'm reading people on the mixtape and I'm like, I'm seeing Chip, I'm seeing Mo Stack, I'm seeing Gigs, Asko, Blade, Notes, Squeaks, like, that's normal. That's not like a normal album, if that makes sense, in terms of features, in terms of people on the album. That's why I think it's sick, because it's actually a playlist. If you create your own playlist on Spotify, it'll be tunes like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess the whole meaning behind it is like, if everyone's making their playlist right now on their own personal ones, and if you take one song and add it to yours, then it's a success for me. Do you know what I'm saying? So either you can run through it and have it playing in the background, or you can take something and add it to your personal playlist. And because it's a streaming era that we're living in, I felt like as a producer, how am I going to conceptually come through? And I was like, all right, cool. As a producer DJ, I'm going to create this body of work with various genres that people can consume. Like if they're listening to a Who We Be playlist from Spotify, or a Agenda playlist from Spotify, where all the tracks are there from the current UK artists. So that was my take on it.
What was the most like unique pairing for you?
Like getting people on the song? I was happy to do Asko and Blade.
Yeah, that was cold still.
Obviously, free my brother Asko. Yeah, so we did that, and then Blade peppered it. Obviously, Asko peppered it. Drip Drip is amazing for me.
Yeah, Nines.
Nines, Mastermind, pushing his talent through and showcasing that he can do a legendary hook, and giving him the right vocal chain and bringing that next level of his vocal production out. Mo Stack, Mist, obviously that's who I've come through with in that era of my career, before the road rap stuff. Like Shake It For Me, Miss Banks, Back Row G, Krang Face. A few still, I think I've got every track is kind of special, but they're all got their own little journeys.
How long was a track normal? Like, how do you get a track? Is it, all right, I've got a beat, I'm going to send it to the people that I believe should be on this track, or do you work backwards and maybe tell someone I want to work with you, and then they choose what beats?
To be honest, the whole project's from a fan's perspective, because I love the game before everything that comes with the game. Like, I love music, and for me, it's like, I want to see people on a track that ain't on a track before together, and I want to make that happen. So really, I just like to meet the artists, have them at the house or the studio, and just cook something up. And whoever comes in first on the song, I kind of base it on who else I can put on the song. And then I'll just call them up. My thing's more about relationships, spending time with the artists. A couple of the songs I sent the song off to get like verses on, but really and truly everything's been in the studio. That's how I work, old school, looking at legends like Timbaland and Dre and seeing how they worked with the artists in the studio. So I think that's why my music stands out a bit more different, because I'm really producing the track. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it is.
Because I was going to say, numbers-wise, when you were putting, again, we were talking about how kind of large and diverse of an album it is. Did you have any pushback? When you're like, hey, I want to have 27 tracks, essentially. Did you have any pushback where people were like, I don't know, this might be too many tracks? Or
No, not really, because if you look at like some of the albums that have come out from UK rap, like DBE, they had 29 songs.
Yeah.
Heady One had 24 on Edna, I think. So the big projects have come out, and if you look at like back in the day, like compilation CDs from like the DJs.
Yeah, they had
30,
loads of
40
tracks.
Yeah. So for me, I thought that 27 was cool, but really it's like 2 skits, an intro, outro. So it's like 23 songs, really, or 22 with a bit of mix up in between musically. But yeah. I don't really try, because it's my project, I'll try not to take an artist's opinion on what I'm trying to do with my art.
Yeah.
If it's the flip side of things and I'm producing for them, then I will absolutely dedicate myself to their vision for the song and just help out where I can. But with the playlist, it was kind of more like what I kind of saw or
You knew what you
envisioned.
wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, did the idea for the playlist come before you started making some of these tracks, or did it come midway through when you're thinking, hold on, I can make a playlist, I've got maybe 5 or 6 tunes that I've done as singles.
Yeah.
Because I remember hearing Blamma Blamma, is it Blamma Blamma?
Yeah, Blamma was
quite
out
like
last
a
year.
little while away.
Yeah.
I remember the feature because Tion at that time was
He
he was a man. Like, he just
Body
kind of,
just
but
came
yeah. I was even saying that to Keith in the car. That
Yeah.
that's when I remember Body blowing. So Tion was the guy, and obviously Morrison was kind of coming back through as well.
Yeah, he dropped shots and all of that.
Yeah. So now that you've got this, was it a case of what point did you say to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to make the playlist and add all these songs together, or was it always a vision you had to make an album?
Yeah, I mean, the producer brand, Still Banglez, obviously, has been around for such a long time. To convert it and make it sustainable and cement myself as one of the leaders in the game of production and becoming a producer artist first, I knew I had to drop the body of work. But as I said, it came around about Fashion Week, and when I did 47, the Asian song with Mist and Steph around that time, so late 2019.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and then obviously because I'm independent, I didn't want to drop the album because I can't tour, and I make most of my money from touring. Obviously I make money from music, getting record deals, publishing deals, but right now I'm independent.
Yeah.
So that was all self-funded. Everything you see with the playlist is self-funded, like everything I did off my own back.
Dope.
So I was like, had to hold out because COVID was crazy. And then I was like, no, let me wait. And then that's why I dropped it. So really the project was ready for about 2020.
Oh, right.
So I'm like most probably into my second album already.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so like...
Oh, that's a while back still.
Yeah. It's refreshing though, because even when I heard Asco, obviously Asco's Inside or whatever.
That was 2019, that song.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
I was thinking, when did you get that verse?
Bro, because when I heard the voice, I was thinking, what is this thing, ChatGPT?
AI.
Man done AI for Asco. I said, nah.
Obviously, it's a flip on Ballin' by Jim Jones.
Okay.
Remember We Fly High? No,
Yeah.
It's a bit of that kind of inspired.
So
That's mad. 2019, you know.
Yeah. So did you have again, you know what I mean, since it's, like I said, it's 2019 that you've done some of these tracks, did you have a fear of did you kind of fear that it might be a little dated when it comes out? Do you think the sound changes?
I think great music's like wine, innit? It ages in time. Like most of my songs, and a lot of musicians will know this, and artists and producers, like, we make music ahead of time. Do you know what I'm saying?
I find that very interesting because people say, for example, that Back Row G is sitting on a lot of catalog that he's basically shipping it around in it. Yeah. So by the time it eventually comes out, technically it's like 3-4 years old, but it's still gonna sound like a new album to us.
Yeah. You might differentiate a couple of artists' voices that might have grown, like Dino.
Oh yeah, because he's got an older
voice. Yeah, but like
Most
couple things, but really, it's more to do.
I think we had the conversation about H in the car, where you're like, it sounds a little different now to.
Yeah. So I guess that is time is a big factor when you're a producer and you don't rap and anything like that, and trying to get all these artists and filter through records. It takes time, and whatever's happening with the artist is like cool. You just work with it, but you still know it's the artist, if you know what I'm saying.
So with an album like this, how many tracks didn't make it?
I got a few records still, possibly like 12.
Okay.
And obviously there's a lot of artists that are not on the album that I work with that I've held back. Because I felt like this is an introductory one since I went independent, and I'm distributed by ADA on Warner. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to hold my body of work, but at this stage I'm just about ownership. You know what I'm saying?
So Playlist 2's it's there, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I mean, I might not call it the Playlist 2, I might call it something else.
You could do that, because remember, everyone...
Yeah, it's conceptually
I
tied
think
in with my tours.
Yeah.
As well. My tours are going to be really theatrical, like on stage you're going to see crazy stuff, like it's not going to be normal, like the fans are going to be engaged crazy, like my live show for this is...
Yeah, it's gonna be mad. I can imagine, bro, because it's just so many different...
I'm getting a ticket still.
Yeah, 100%.
Nah, you lot are coming free, man.
Come on. Listen, I didn't really want to push the angle still, but you get me.
100%, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm announcing the tour on Friday.
Dope, man.
So.